You ready to start? Ready to go?
Are you good to go?
Yes.
So, good morning, everybody. Meeting's called to order. First order is, commission will review the draft minutes from the meeting of July 14th.
I reviewed them.
No one asked you.
They're quite good. So did Paul.
So did I, when it first said, I'll second it.
All right.
There you go.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Sir, approved. Thank you very much, and thank you, Jen. Next, this is Victoria's part of the program, which is to review the certificate of appropriateness as prepared by the city attorney.
Okay, we mailed them out yesterday. Jan, are you able to pull them up? Yeah,
Just reshare.
just reshare. It's this, right? The first one's 249, 251 Warren, which was for a new railing, black powder coated railing.
Mhm.
Yes, Mr. Palmer is just here.
He was, I said.
And the railing in the front that faces Warren, it's one side.
Yep. Motion to approve the C of A for new railing 249, 251 Warren Street.
Second that.
Paul and John, all in favor? Approved. 234, 238 Warren Street, a sign.
Okay, just a second.
Very.
This was the double-sided reflective hanging sign. It's not lit, but it is reflective.
I'll make that motion.
Paul and Kim, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. 314 Warren Street, a sign.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Paul and Hugh, all in favor?
Aye.
314 Warren Street is approved. 24 Allen Street, doors, fencing, and retaining wall repair.
This one, we were missing some information on this one. We had asked them to return with specs for the door and for the stair rail. Well, we didn't have specs for the stair rail.
I have some specifications for you guys.
Yeah, I think you sent them to us. They may
Yeah.
not have gotten out to the commission. I'm sorry about that, but if you can share that now, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. There is one small change too since last time. Well, I guess two rather. Let me share my screen.
Thank you.
So last time we presented just the photo summary and the elevations. Let me get there real quick. So these are the elevations that we presented last time. So we presented new doors, but we didn't have any stairs up to those doors because we didn't know what existed previously. So we spent some time on site and looking through old photos since we met last. And so this time we've added stone steps to the stairs, and there's also the addition of this door here, which is the same as the other side. It's just a single leaf instead of a double leaf. And I've included the fence here, which we did not show last time because we just said it's being replaced in kind. That's still true. We just wanted you to be able to see the whole picture.
So there's a new door. What elevation is that? I can't.
So,
An additional door.
yep. So on this one, we added the fence and we added the 3 steps here. And then on this one, we added this single door for the side where their driveway is. Rather than having to walk all the way around the house, they wanted to be able to put a door that would just go right into the living space.
And again, what is that door like?
So I have the specs below. Let me just finish going through the elevations here for you. So this is the double leaf door, and then same stone steps, and then the front elevation or the rear elevation has not changed. These are the specs. So this is the front door. It's the Simpson 7130. It's going to be a solid wood door. No, no glass, so no lights. And then these are the specs for the 2 French doors. So the single leaf on the parking side of the house, and then the double leaf on the side yard side of the house.
Are those metal clad?
Yes, so it's a wood clad door. We wood on the inside and clad on the outside.
Yeah, and I'm gonna send you an updated COA. Okay.
There are existing clad, there is an existing clad door on the house right now, and the front, the face that is on the partition side, those windows are all clad.
Great.
And they'll be painted the same color as the rest of the trim on the house.
And did you have specs for the stair railing?
It's just going to be a simple iron railing. They want to design for aging. So even though these 2 steps on the sides of the house do not require a handrail, they would like to have one there just for ease as they get older. This one, there's going to be a little bit of groundwork that's required just because there's been a lot of erosion away from the house. So this may or may not require a handrail, but same thing for aging, they would like to have an iron handrail there.
Can you please zoom in a little bit so we can get a sense of it more?
Yep.
Thank you. No, I meant zoom into the actual railing of the on the door, so that into that top left quadrant.
So it'll be 2 by 2, all, you know, for the posts and top rail, bottom rail, and then it'll be 3/4 in the, you know, for the spindles.
You said it was, it's cast iron or aluminum?
Is that coated metal?
It'll be iron.
So the only change are the steps, bluestone steps, the iron guardrail,
And the door.
and
And the single leaf French door. Yep.
Oh, I thought I didn't see any.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
The city attorney said she just on the fly updated the certificate so that we can actually put that up on the screen for the commission and the public to look at.
Okay.
Bear with,
And
it's not our best technology to.
while she's pulling it up, I didn't see that we had a signed copy of the application, so it's something I want to make sure we have before permits get issued.
Sure.
A signed copy of the application, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
So hard copies were sent to you guys. We originally, actually, I think we sent you digital copies too, but I can send you updates.
Right, the digital copy was unsigned, so I just want to make sure Craig, it'll be a condition that Craig has a signed copy. If he has it, great. If he doesn't, you've got to provide.
Okay.
Did you hear code enforcement needs the signed copy and just in case the paper copy isn't where it's supposed to be, if you could send a digital copy with full signatures to code enforcement, to the city attorney and to myself.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Jean, did you send that?
I did receive it, I just have the, when you're done, Kylie, yeah, great. And I'm gonna share my screen now.
Okay, I'll stop. There you go.
So this is the amended application.
So we added new door on northwest elevation. And then I added stone steps And then now we're referring to the revised specifications submitted to the commission since this was updated, and then deleted the condition about providing that for the door.
Perfect.
How we feel?
I'm good. Kyla, does that seem accurate to you?
Let me just read through the last part, sorry. Yes. Yep, everything else is still the same.
Thank you. Thanks, Victoria. A motion to approve the C of A as amended by the city attorney, Hugh and Paul, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
You all are now mailing the COAs? Is that
Pardon?
correct? The COAs are being mailed?
I'm not, I'm PDFing them and they're also posted as soon as I go home and stamp them
Perfect.
on the city website. So all of the Cs of A are now public and posted,
Perfect.
pretty much
And
within
there's
a day of
section that
approval.
says signed C of As. Perfect. Very good.
Yeah, so it's accessible to everyone, but good question.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you don't need to go.
all right, thanks. Oh, that was the question. Guys, if you don't mind, there's some projects that are a little more complicated. I think in all fairness, we should get a 6-wheeler in place and get the fence out of the way.
Great.
Is the applicant here for 6-wheeler?
Don't we have another C of A for 739?
And
Yes,
that's,
I'm here.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'd
you
just like
wanna
to be
move that
ready to get the fence,
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
Just take that off, otherwise you're sitting through a lot of stuff.
This is 6-wheeler.
6-wheeler fence, are you on? Can you talk about your fence a bit?
Someplace, maybe Walmart, I'm not sure where else to go. To try to get something to boost our Wi-Fi like we used to have in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Do you think, something like this, big Wi-Fi range extender and signal booster, right?
Yeah, usually those are like if you've already got something in your home. And
Person
those
on
are picking up a signal, like let's say,
Okay, thank you.
Could the applicant talk about their fence?
Hi, yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm trying to put a privacy fence in the backyard that's identical to what my neighbor on the right has. So I'm not even going to need to put it on all 3 sides, just along the back of the property and along the left side of the property to
you're breaking in
just
and out.
where the driveway ends. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Hello, Mr. Stallings.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I think it's out of my speaker. I'm sorry, apologies. We're having some technical difficulties here.
Would you like me to speak again, or?
Can you guys hear him?
Yeah, I'm just trying.
Yeah, yeah, if you can just speak a little loudly and then we can all hear you. Thank you, Mr. Stallings.
Okay, feel free to cut me off if you can't hear me. But yes, it's a privacy fence that's identical to what my neighbor has on the right of me. So I would just be continuing that wall with the same exact material. It's a 6-foot privacy fence that would go from the back right of the property over to the back left of the property, and then come back towards the front until the end of the driveway. So it would mirror exactly where the privacy fence is for my neighbor and be the same material wood.
Can you,
Sarah,
show us a
thanks, Sarah.
picture or
Um,
something else?
Mr. Stallings, I have some photos, I believe that are sketches that you had sent.
Yes,
Is that the drawings revised PDF? Is that helpful?
that should be it. Yes, I attached it with my application, a standard photo of what the fence looks like from Lowe's that's identical to what they have, as well as 2 photos of the property that have a line showing exactly where it would be.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know that I received those. I'm sorry, I spoke too soon.
I have them on.
Oh, you do?
Online.
Okay, so let me stop sharing and then you can share your photos if that's okay.
Okay. Share.
So there's a green button at the bottom of your screen that says start sharing. And then we can see
Yeah,
what's on your laptop.
giving me trouble to do it. Maybe I can just send that. Can I send the photo over?
Sure, send it to hpcclerk@cityofhudson.org.
Oh, it was in the body of the email.
Oh, it was?
That's those photos. Yeah, because I knew I saw it. Yeah, I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
HPC clerk at,
cityofhudson.org, but we have it, I think,
It was. Yes.
from Craig.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just emailed it as well.
Scroll down just so it's in the bottom of the email.
Oh, okay. So can I just share this? Okay. Okay. So, yeah. Mr. Stallings, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to walk the commissioner?
Yeah, so the purple line there represents the property line and where I would be putting the privacy fence. And the second photo there shows the other line of the back side of the property where I'd be putting the fence right in front of the trees. And then on the right side there, you can see that the existing fence. And then the last photo there just shows, yeah, so the privacy fence on the right there. And then the last photo just shows a different angle of where it would come to the at the end of the driveway there. So the same as what my neighbor has on the right side.
See the picture of the fence again? Like what the material is? There.
The
So it
Yeah.
L, it goes along the side, along the back, and then it runs into your neighbor's fence. Is that right?
Yeah, looks good.
So the question is, so the fence that you're proposing is, it Ls, it goes along the side of the property and then across the back and where it adjoins the neighboring fence.
Yes.
Okay.
Second John's first.
Okay, motion to find the application complete, you and John All in favor? Aye. Motion to waive a public hearing, that's the city attorney, A, Kim and Jeremy. All in favor? Aye. There you have it.
There you go.
Okay, in next meeting, 2 weeks, we will vote on the certificate as prepared by the city attorney. And you can get that online, we post it, or from Craig Haig or for myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Going back to regular order of business, continuation of our discussion of 739 Warren Street.
Hi. Let's see, what would you like me to?
If you could start with the drawings and then we'll do the book.
Okay.
So I just updated the proposal that I presented last time. Apologies for making you review it twice. I had the contractor check the grade at the front. And it turns out that we had an additional 8 inches that we needed to accommodate for the ramp. So I only had a couple inches of play in the single run version. So we had to go to a switchback ramp to make it fit. And I also provided the specs for the rear retractable eye and the details for the fence in the back. So if we could just zoom into the ramp, start with that.
Let's see, is that this?
Yeah, perfect. So now instead of the single run 5-foot ramp from the sidewalk, now every person will.
Sorry.
It's okay. Every person will come up the center walk, which is sloped, but not a ramp, it's sloped. So everyone comes up this way to the patio, and then you can either go straight up the front steps, make a right, hit the ramp, switch back around to go in through the accessible door, or you can come up some steps here to go straight into the side. So visually, obviously, a switchback ramp, not as appealing. There's a lot more railings, but it's the only way that it could work. So it sort of is what it is. And I made the railing as minimal as possible to meet the requirements of the ADA. And then if you scroll down, we can look at there's a rendering of the front, which we'll look at the end, but while we're in this drawing, if you go to the elevations, get the rear fence. Next one, maybe. Yes, so there is the little fence at the back and very small little curlies at the top. And I added the posts into the division so that it would be accurate, still wrought iron. If you scroll down one more sheet, you can see the side view. So that's the wrought iron 2-foot extension on the east side. You can see the ramp there at the front. So this is where you come in, you go up this way and then across the back. So there's the ramp and the railing. So it has the curl, but it returns back to the rail as it needs to for ADA. Then on the next sheet, you can see the other side. So we still have the little stone wall to the side. Then you see the rail. And then this is the updated fence at the rear. There's no currently use on that side, just on the. And then if you switch to the booklet, go to the very end of the last 2 pages. This is all the same, identical until I think page 16
Okay.
is the spec for the awning. So it's super simple. It has this aluminum housing that gets mounted. The entire thing gets retracted into it. So it's just a box when it's not in use. And then it's like this with a little dropped front edge is in use. So you can see, you come up here, there's the rail. What is nice about it is that
there is a 3.5-foot gap from the end of the ramp, end of our property line to the sidewalk, and so there's room for us to put some sort of planting there to disguise the ramp. So I just indicated that with, like, transparent trees. They would be in a planter, so it'll have to be something that can be moved, obviously, because it's not our property, but the plan is also to put planters along the side as well, so it's gonna be concealed as much as it can by plantings. That's it. I didn't update the last report. Changes on
And the ramp with the switchback, that's, you know, you looked at a lot of different scenarios. You know, that it's so much bigger. than
I know. I mean,
before.
So the original ramp fortunately was 5 feet wide at least, because you have to have that 1-foot extension on the side and you don't have the bottom of the rail. So the first one was 5 feet wide. This one is like a little 7 and change. So I at least was able to fit to the side, and I minimized it, and that's why you have this bottom bits on the rail now, because I don't have room for that 1-foot extension. So it seemed the best solution. It still keeps the focus on the double bay of the storefront. And you know, it's better in terms of universal access, like everybody's approaching the building exact same path, everyone comes up through the garden and then arrives and then makes a destination point. So in that way, it's much nicer.
It is a really hard place to navigate otherwise, because it's like you're actually kind of minimizing the amount of railing that we're going to see. If you try to do an L or something else, you're actually making way more distracting.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's appreciated.
you know, I even talked to the contractor about, like, can we raise the sidewalk? Like, there's no, you know, I had him check it twice. It's really, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we want to provide universal access, obviously. So
And that railing again is, I'm sorry.
it's wrought iron.
Good for you.
I did talk to the contractor yesterday, and she suggested that we make the railing white, which I agree will help make it go away. So yeah,
Good solution.
I'm hoping that when it's there, it's not as bad.
Well, the plantings for sure. though.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
It'll disappear,
Yeah.
you know, right now we're just staring right at it.
Yes, with all the focus on it, it really is quite, but the white will help for sure, and I think in the end, you know, they are planning to do a really exuberant. So
Yeah, it looks.
there's a new tree and, you know, they'll be really nice. I think it'll be,
I mean, to ask the audience question, this can't be in the rear.
it can, because, you know, we looked at, like, can we do lifts, you know, can we do anything, but they're really, really intent on having this, like, beautiful rear garden space, and we have already having to divide it because we have that alley to get to the service entry. We only have 16 feet left to get to the building, and there's a 7.5-foot change or 7-foot change in grade in the back, so a ramp would be impossible. And if we do lifts, we'd have to do 2 lifts, one lift from Cherry Alley up to the patio level, and then another lift from the patio to the porch, which is in the back. So it would just, like, obliterate the back part.
And then just for quality, having the front entrance off is.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing, because even if we had the lifts or a ramp in the back, they would have to provide access all the way from Union Street through their property. So it's just, unfortunately, this was like the only answer.
I think it's really successful though, because you're right, you are maintaining, you know, the pristine piece on the left side and being very thoughtful about it. It's not an easy solution, and it's awesome you found out before.
Well, I mean, I wish that I had had them confirm it immediately, but this is just like yet another reminder that you can never trust everything does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we found out now. I was, like, super excited to hear this news, obviously, but I would certainly rather hear it now than in 3 months when we start construction. So, yeah. Thanks again. Sorry, thank you again, advice.
No.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure.
Looks good. Good solution.
Let's do it this way, motion to find the application complete. That's you and Jeremy, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion to waive the public hearing, request the city attorney prepare C of A. Jeremy and you, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
2 weeks. Like
I
to
won't
see
be
that.
back with any questions.
We'll get it to you and it'll be posted on this website.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Question for you, Victoria, the 317 Allen had essentially been to us already with public hearing. They made also some discoveries on the property in terms of the elevation of the land and so on, and had to make adjustments to it. In terms of trying to err on the side of making sure we get it right, I have requested the applicant to actually prepare a new application reflecting those changes. I know in some cases we've accommodated people, but I thought these changes were sufficient for that. Just so
We've already issued a few of the previous.
but they have to change.
Yeah,
So it's a new one.
I agree.
Okay, just saying. Terrific. Can we go ahead then and go through the new application for 317 now?
Okay. Okay. Hi, Ms. Cho. Would you like to share your screen, or I have the application up here. Would you like to share a presentation?
I can share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. So, hello again. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm
are-
sorry, as always, could you just speak up because we're using the speaker on my computer.
Sure.
Owl is giving us issues.
Is this better?
A little bit better.
Just speak as loud as you can.
Okay. So we're here to present our official application for 317 Allen Street. And to start off the presentation, we have some current day photos of the front facade and the rear facade. And right next to it, we have some historic photos. The one on the bottom right is from Brick Builder. You can see the rear facade back here. And
I think that there was a lot of discussion in the previous meeting, some of it from the commission and some of it from the public. I'm going to ask you to pause for a second and see if we can take a look at the minutes from the prior meeting to get a sense of what was proposed. I'm not saying you have to do everything that was proposed, but I want the commission to be reminded of what was proposed by us.
Okay.
I have them on my desktop.
Bay window.
Would you like me to
Yeah,
share?
I want to look at the actual minutes. And
Okay.
some of it got these-
Ms. Cho, could you stop sharing so that I can share the minutes from April? Thank you.
Thank you, sorry.
Those doors and just the garden.
A couple things that got people's attention, so might as well see what was said.
So these were the approved minutes from April 28th. This was the public hearing. I'll go, I can scroll down or where we got to the feedback.
Yeah, Janet, if you could capture what some of the feedback.
All right, so the feedback after or during presentation, Hudson citizen Matt McGee spoke about the bay window concept being installed over the sunroom roof. He stated his opposition to that idea, adding it would be a huge departure from original and visible from Willard Place Street. Citizen McGee also stated he felt a sample of the brick treatment should be submitted to HPC for review. Hudson citizen Carol Ostering agreed with Mr. McGee and stated the curved bay window was totally inappropriate to the building. Ms. Cho assured that all stained glass will be kept and protected. Also agreed to consider comments made and come back with some thoughts.
I think that captures it. Thank you. Let's go back to the presentation. Thanks very much.
Okay, let me go to the next sheet. We have some more existing and historic photos. We have a site plan. We are not proposing any changes to the existing driveway, but we do have some landscaped new plantings for the rear yard and the front yard. We have a roof plan showing the skylights, which have not changed since the concept presentation. We are showing rooftop condensers at the Allen Street side flat roof. And we have a section detail of how tall those condensers are relative to the stone balustrade at the front facade. Here are the same window types we had proposed in the concept presentation. We have aluminum clad wood windows for all cellar replacements. We have Colby & Colby wood windows with the beveled muntins and simulated divided lights for all new windows. And for new storm doors and sunroom windows, we're proposing the Rainaire's aluminum slimline system with narrow sight lines and high performance for energy efficiency. We have our existing elevations. These have not changed since concept. We are still proposing the repointing and the lime wash, but we are more specific in the references or our inspiration images on the right. And here is the example that we'd like to, this is what we'd like to emulate for our project. The examples from 342 Allen Street.
If I'm
In response to,
it's a great light wash and somewhat transparent, is that correct?
yes, yes. So the product we found is a slaked lime that can be, it can be applied, but rubbed off pretty much instantly. And the longer you wait, the more opaque it is, but there is quite a range in transparency. In response to an earlier proposal, we found some reference images throughout Hudson on this page. There's the existing east elevation and our proposed east elevation. All of the windows we see here in black and white are going to be original and restored with new storms. And the rendered windows here are new proposed windows. Here is an example of a Colby & Colby wood double hung window. This is also going to be a Colby & Colby wood window. And due to the size of these new proposed openings, these are the Rainaire's aluminum windows. Here's an example of an existing side door that we are going to demolish and modify the masonry opening so that it matches the window adjacent. For the south elevation, we had originally proposed a bay window concept, and what we have done is proposed just a flat window. We've maintained the, sorry?
Wait. Hold on.
We've maintained the existing masonry opening on the left and the right, but we are proposing to demolish the brick infill for one larger window opening.
The left-hand side is where there was some opinions, points of view in the public discussion, is that correct? That
yes.
Okay. And that decorative trim over the top of the window is part of the original.
We would be taking the original lintel and extending it. I think yeah, they were two separate stone lintels, and we would recreate that across the top. But this window no longer projects from the face of the building.
Okay. And the bottom French doors we already approved in our oh no, those are the same. Thought you were doing some work there too.
These are the same.
Okay.
And these are aluminum. The current sunroom windows and walls are not original. There's a little half wall with wood paneling and wood sliders, and we want to replace them with full height French doors. Here are just some existing photographs of the rear facade. Here's the east elevation. You can see here, we've removed the bay window. And we also have introduced a concept or a design for the wrought iron fence we'd like to replace. So we'd like to replace the existing wood slat fencing with this wrought iron fence in between the masonry tiers. Here is a partial elevation of off of the rear patio. We do want to enlarge this opening and maintain the existing lintel height, which also, if I can zoom in here, matches the existing lintel at the dining room as well. Here are just some reference images for the proposed fencing. We've highlighted the areas that we think would be where our scope would be visible from the street. You can see the two taller kitchen windows back here and the proposed larger window. And you can see it on this elevation as well. And that's our presentation.
Can I ask a question? What was the status? Was it just a proposal last time, but we didn't vote on it?
That's correct.
And
The
the comment,
applicant did ask to get feedback, and was welcomed the idea of public comment, and so that's how we did it.
so those were informal public comments that we captured in the notes?
I wouldn't call them informal, people were pretty serious, but yes, it would.
It was not held in the context of a public.
Yes, it was.
a public hearing.
It was, okay.
This is the response to it.
Correct.
Can you please go back to the rear view so we can see the large windows to the right and the replacement of the bay window? Thank you.
Is it? Hold on,
This
let's
is large, but like-
can I ask a different question first?
Sure.
So maybe the one that's preliminary snap. The element on the right is the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
As I recall. And these plans exist, like this is a very well-known house. The plans are filed, I think, in the state archives of the state museum, right? Is that original, that kitchen, is that original to the house, or was it a later addition?
The kitchen is original to the house. There was a covered porch that was removed. I'm not sure of the year that it was removed, but you can see where it used to be on the existing elevation. But even if we go around the corner, some of the existing windows at the kitchen, they seem original but modified, where a counter was built along this wall at one point and the lower sash was modified.
Sorry, Jeremy, go ahead. I didn't know.
No, when I look at the back and I look at the introduction of these new kind of large plain modern windows on it. Just want to see what people's thoughts were on this.
I mean, I think the problem with this is it's a very important house in very original condition. And I think drastic change alterations to it go against the spirit of preservation. That sun porch doesn't seem to me.
I think that was added later.
Yeah, but it's a non-issue from what it was to what it to be. But that window at the top and those dramatic alterations to the kitchen.
Where are you focusing?
I'm actually, I mean, I think, I mean, I remember Jeremy said, so, this.
Okay.
These three.
the sun, let's just put the sun porch aside, I don't think anyone will find it controversial, right? The things that would be most worthy of discussion is the extension of those two original window openings to a single floor unit window opening. The expansion of the kitchen windows, I don't know if that's just on this side, I can't remember, it's it wraps around. So that is very, and those are to me very drastic alterations to the house. So.
What do you think of the upper left?
That's what I meant too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
The kitchen and the upper left are pretty significant changes in the style and just to the entirety of the house.
I should keep on those. You know, the hierarchy in my mind on a house like this is first and foremost to protect authentic and original material as much as possible. In fact, it's almost always possible, and to focus on restoration or change out and so on. Where I'm empathetic to folks taking on a very complicated and expensive project like this, and I felt similarly about Alger House. I know we went with some public comment that the original architect, who may or may not have been the architect, like blank walls, but we ended up creating for family purposes a virtually unusable roof. I know that house pretty well, having visited Union Windle and they had events there and whatnot. It is or was pretty dark and gloomy inside. I have some empathy for folks who are trying to introduce light and enhance the usability of the building, and I'm going to stop at that thought. This is a hugely expensive house, hugely expensive enterprise to take on, and I'm empathetic to their desire to introduce light into the house and make it more useful.
I think I should have probably said that first. I completely agree. But I also would go back to your first premise, which is there's much original to this house.
Oh, and
the house
still is.
is deeply important.
No argument on the importance of the house and the fact that it's actually in terms of the actual design, a unique piece of architecture. There's nothing exactly else in Hudson from this particular period or this particular style. Get that, and yet people are taking this on, and they're proposing to introduce some light into the.
I guess
I'll shut up.
it's we can bifurcate the discussion, right? One is, can we even, do we feel comfortable changing, you know, the windows in some capacity anywhere to this degree? That's like one question. And then secondly, if we do, is this treatment the right treatment? So there's kind of two pieces. Right?
Yeah, I mean, start with compatibility, which I think was one of the comments you all made about the windows. Someone referred to them as quote unquote modern. I'm not sure that multi-light solution is exactly what we're calling modern.
Well, if you compare those windows in the upper left to the other windows,
Yeah.
they're certainly different character.
I think that's two different conversations,
Yes.
so I wanna talk about what used to be the bay windows on the upper left versus the tall windows in the kitchen, because I think they should just be separate conversations, right? So at the kitchen, I can 100% appreciate what Phil's saying, and we all agree with that. It's important that we're able to make these houses usable as well as balance the historical, preciousness of them. I, for one, I think if they were to do something, considering the amount that they are maintaining, that is the corner, I would say have more impact. I wouldn't, it's not on the street side, right? Isn't that one top to the other? You know, if we're going to have some, I don't want to say compromise, because it's not a compromise, but it's a, it's the appropriateness, right?
Yes, it's the appropriate.
Yes, so it's that I'm more open to, and if we wanted to see perhaps different ways of lighting it, Like, instead of the 6 panels or something else, if we thought that would be more successful, I think that's a really good conversation. I think the sticking point for me will still be, and the, one called the wind, but it's not the flat panels, which we know was an issue in the prior meeting. And just understanding, because that is such a far departure for them. And
Is it the scale Kim, or the style, or what's the sticky bit on that?
it's different.
I think the flat panel, if I may, for me, I agree. Agree with everybody's, On those particular windows. Those flat panel windows are very different from everything else in the house. The kitchen, the tall kitchen windows, I can live with, they relate back. And it addresses Phil's feelings of, it's 2023, more light, looking at a different age. I find those to be appropriate. I think that if we could do I think the scale of those new bedroom windows, the not bay windows, are fine for me. But if they were multi-light in a little and tied back into what are the windows that are happening in the rest of the house, that could work.
How can they be more compatible than what we're looking at?
Say if they were
You go up,
6 over 6.
yeah, you go up, that's one in your slide, please. Even if you stuck the same window in the middle, you made like an arcade of windows, as opposed to where you're delimited a little bit, and it would be different. You'd get more light in, it keeps the integrity of the space, you'd be adding essentially a third window between.
Say it again.
So
Yeah,
the two
I'm not following.
Turn 2 into 3.
Yeah, so add another window in between, at the same.
And mirror the same style.
Light, or
Okay.
essentially insert another window, and then you have like an arcade of windows essentially with.
Or possibly 2 more windows that
Yeah.
gives that window, then it at least ties back into what the architectural intent is of having a wall of windows.
Yeah.
But you can kind of,
And
Gang
the
up
visual
forward.
will be more vertical, and individual windows and all the things where you're like better.
it may serve the same purposes of what they're proposing, however, they would be the windows that are not original, but the windows that are shown in the existing. If you did 4, you'd have that wall of windows, which I guess is bringing in as much light as possible and still tie back to, what has historically been there.
So it's formal window. Sorry, go ahead.
We did actually prepare an exhibit of some of the studies we did for this window. If I can pull that up.
I didn't hear that.
Could you speak up, please?
Studies for the window, she asked.
Yes. We prepared an exhibit of the options we studied for this window. And
Could you
we
share?
looked at some where, oh, is it not?
It is sharing.
Yes,
Yes.
Sharon.
Okay.
Okay. Here's one with even light. We did look at one option where we sort of recalled the jambs down at the dining room at the existing doors, but we would still propose this being glass in the center. And then we also had an option where we sort of recreated what was happening at the dining room. But at the end, we decided to present the option that had just the most glass with the minimal amount of mullions.
I think let's assume we passed the threshold question of whether we should add more windows to that wall. I think the last option is the most appropriate in mind.
Yes.
Option 4. For the record,
The one
this
with
this
screen?
one on
Yeah.
screen.
It's called option
It's
4.
yes, it's called option 4.
Can you zoom into it even more? I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I understood it to be. You're not replicating those historic details, you're just adding a new transom and new plain glass, right? Like that's. How close would it be to what's at the dining room?
Well, it would not be stained glass. We would not be recreating the stained glass transoms in the dining room or the stained glass doors in the dining room. These would all just be new plain glass.
That's kind of
I'm sorry, what?
The issue wasn't whether it was stained glass or not, the issue was the relationship between the design, shape, visual impact compared to other windows in the house.
Could you zoom in on that little area, Ms. Cho? There you go, thank you.
And so it's using the scale of what exists there with the transoms that are there, and it's continuing with 4, right?
I guess the question is, would the lintel be extended and then it would just be plain glass, or would it actually be articulated the same way as those windows? Is it a modern
It's a modern
insert?
take on
It's
those
a modern
things.
insert into it, not necessarily a replication of what's there. That's the question.
I think she answered it the way you articulated it. Alright, what is one of the options?
I like that.
I think this is good. I think it's successful.
I disagree.
You
I would just leave it the way it is. I'm sorry. But like the thought, we're answering this is
We're going back to-
presumes the threshold question that there should be 4 windows there, not 2.
Yeah.
I disagree with John.
Okay.
That, you know, this,
So
you
now-
know, we are also, as still had, you know, expressed. You know, they're trying to let it much light as possible, you know, having whatever comfort that gives them as a family. And so while it is in keeping with the general feel of the house, and I believe that is successful in, you know, addressing what is there, making it a larger window opening, and, you know, it's appropriate.
I would just say for the record that I think putting this sort of, and I completely, you know, everybody wants more light, and whether you have an historic home or not. But inserting this these 2 modern elements in the middle of a historic wall isn't gonna, I don't think it's gonna read very well.
I don't think it reads as modern, I think it reads as windows. I don't think that you're gonna be driving by going, that's really a modern, everything else isn't. I think it will blend with what is there. You know.
Well, I also want to point out that
What's that? What was that, Ms. Cho?
the typical jam depth along the building exterior is 7 to 8 inches. So the modern windows wouldn't be flush with the masonry or the new proposed frame here and lintel.
That would be set in, you mean?
Yes.
So do we need to answer the first question, which is how we feel about adding light, and make a determination there, and then we can quibble about what we think is the best solution. I feel like we keep going back and forth between.
Well, we've enabled some additional light in, I guess, the kitchen area. And the question is, can we enable some light? I don't know where this is going into.
It's a bedroom.
The great room, or,
I think it's the master.
The master bedroom.
okay, right.
The bathroom.
What is it, Ms. Cho? Is it the primary one?
It's the master bathroom.
That's
Okay.
primary bath.
I guess my question is, the applicant didn't propose this, is this actually talking about it?
I'm trying to get a point of view from the commission to share with the applicant. They can reject it and say, I'm not going to do that, but I'd like the commission at least to communicate back with a clear voice as to what we think.
So it sounds to me like what the commission would like is for it to remain as is, and it's 2 doors that go out onto a patio, and we're removing the patio, there's now a planter there, and you wanna have as much light as possible. Would the client, the homeowner, consider changing those just for the traditional windows that are there, or do they really need that full wall in their bathroom?
Are we saying that?
No, I'm just asking.
Oh, you're saying the commission was proposing.
I don't agree.
Okay,
The
so-
commission split right now.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
It's not proposing anything
No, I'm
right
sorry,
yet.
I shouldn't have said proposed. But would, I wanna better understand what the homeowner's trying to get out of it. To know like how we're going to determine this or not.
And you, excuse me, one more question, based on his, is it now doors or is it now windows?
It's doors now, because I
They're-
Doors, they would convert it to 4 windows.
They would be windows. We are removing this balcony and putting in a new skylight, so the roof will not be occupied, and then there'll be a planter just outside with grasses or tall grasses and plantings for privacy.
There's that pyramid shape.
And the railing will be retained, they'll just.
No.
No, it's gone.
No.
Or windows.
Did you consult the
With my
original plan?
screen.
Is the balcony in the original plan?
No, all that.
Is all this is
added,
addition
all that is
included?
addition.
Was it changed from doors to windows in the original plan, from windows to doors?
Yeah, I guess if it exists, it actually.
It had been changed.
Does she have the original plans? Show up?
There's some historic photos.
Oh, original plan?
Yeah.
I have a historic photo for the rear facade, the front of the presentation. There was a decorative railing.
We closed it, which is the.
Okay.
The
That's
closure is
yeah,
the
right now.
change. So the change, like, let's talk about what the change is. The change is to eliminate it as a railing, right? At least from this photo, I don't know what the original plan stated. And convert it from doors to windows. So that to me is already a lot of change. And then the other proposal is to turn it from two elements into a single, much larger element with more modern windows in the center, whether you think that is modern.
I'm thinking in terms of some compromise that does at least impact from a change point of view, but add some light, which I think people desperately need in that house. It's dark. If it were 3 units, if they were continued to be doors, where are we looking at in terms of quote unquote appropriateness?
Well, that's kind of what I was trying to drive at with the two openings that are there. I assume that you looked at doing a design of where those doors became windows as an alternate, and that wasn't something that was considered or acceptable. It's not us proposing it, just wanted to understand if that wouldn't work for the design. The client,
Which doesn't let anyone like.
that's, okay, so then that's the light issue, okay.
And they won't be doors, they'll be windows because there's a skylight up there at this point.
Mhm.
So, you know, it seems to me that the objective is to allow more light in. And there's a space in between those two existing openings. So is there a way that you could have two more openings in between those two windows that look pretty much like those two existing windows and have that be the design, you know, the lintels, the transom light, and then windows below it. So it looks like it's.
Trying to replicate it exactly.
Oh yeah, try to replicate it and just have it be, you have a lot more light, but it looks exactly like it is, except there's a central window or two windows that looks like it's always been there.
I think that's what the last part is what I would like to underscore, like it's always been there. This is a rare house, not just because of its size, but because of how intact it is. So no matter what you do to it, that isn't look like it is original, it offends the idea of preservation. So I just think that yes, I understand there's adaptive reuse, I understand the concept that we want more light in these houses. And that it's hard to live in them, I completely do. But the problem with what's proposed from one man's perspective is it doesn't look like it was there. It looks like it was added on, and it isn't sensitive to the overall state and preservation and significance of the house.
John, what if following Hughes' logic, if there were in between those two, wherever they are, there was a middle bit that basically exactly mirrored those. How is that a problem?
If they were exactly mirrored,
Yeah.
they would probably be less offensive.
Or
If it looked like it was an element the original architect would conceive as part of this house, it becomes by definition less offensive.
And you know, if you make a window look like a door, or a door look like a window.
Changing the window to the door isn't a big deal.
That's a bit of wet work.
And even eliminating this railing isn't that big a deal, and giving them skylight, of course, absolutely, let's do all that. Because it still will look like the house is of a piece and it was conceived.
But I also think that perhaps, not that I'm an architect and I don't like to tell architects what to do, I'm certainly not doing that. But that middle space is too narrow to have two more openings that
Yeah, you could
way.
have one.
If you could do one that has, just extend all of those horizontal lines, have a bigger window in the middle, I think would be a good solution.
Or, I'm not an architect, but that's not gonna stop me either. The other alternative would be to replicate that window and have it be a bay of 3 windows. Instead of 2 with some brick, and then have it be the exact same size, centered in there, you'll get more light, but it will look like the original architect conceived it as 3 windows, not 2, and who cares?
I think it's important that they're not molded together though.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, that's what I'm
Problem
saying.
is, when you squish them together, you create a continuous sense of glass or contiguous sense of glass, which drives the sense of modernity. If there were space between those openings, as in the existing structure, that would change the feeling in my mind rather dramatically.
I mean, it's based on.
No,
Yes.
no one would ever, no, the brick would be retained,
The
the
brick
new
would be
window would be
retained.
identical. There'd be more light in the room and no one would ever be the wiser that it wasn't conceived like this. And it would be a very minor alteration. to the
That was my original idea, if you just take it and just print it.
Right.
And we'll put one right in between.
And put one right
Have
Why don't
some
we,
brick.
why don't we, plus it's for all such great architects and no offense, me, average on this side of the table. And ask Ms. Cho that if, what your response is to that. It's like, forget it.
To the centered window, to the third window?
Having a third window centered between those of identical proportions and materials.
Basically, you have 3 identical openings, but they're separated from one another as per the existing design.
Here, can we just see what's there now?
I think we're looking at it.
No.
No.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, so if you were to take one of those windows, doors, whatever those are, let's say assume they're windows, and put one right in the middle, the exact same thing, you're gonna dramatically open up that space to considerably more light. And at the same time, achieve a more appropriate historical look, as somebody said, like it's always been there, which I think would, you
It
know,
would look like it was there.
oh, it must have been. So, somebody really smart. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, again, you can ask the commission to vote on exactly what you propose or any variation on. We're trying to give you a sense of our thinking. You can adopt it or not adopt it, but what do you think?
I think we just have to draw it and see what that looks like, because I don't think there are any other examples on this house of having 3 windows with this type of transom detail.
Sure.
Unless you go around the facade and you have these like sort of doubled or ganged together double hung windows where the lintel sort of turns down.
Well, if you were open to creating that image for the commission and everybody else involved to at least see how that would look, that would be helpful to us. But you have to be open to it.
I think the design problem we're
Yeah,
trying
we would.
to solve is that we want it to be more congruous with what's there, and that having a variation or an interpretation of what's there may call too much attention to it. And so in this case, having something that is more seamless with the vocabulary of what's already there would help us feel more comfortable.
That.
I'll go with what he said.
What he said.
Are you?
Okay, well,
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
we can develop the rendered versions of what we looked at in the exhibit and the new suggestion of having the centered third window.
Okay.
Right. Kitchen,
yeah.
I'm fine with the kitchen.
I think we should look at it again. Maybe we should look at what's there and then we should look at what's proposed side by side.
Is it possible, do you have a photo of what is currently there in the kitchen?
That's right,
Area?
right, that drawing is.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
all I can say is, yes, at the corner. Yes, one can argue it's slightly afield. But wouldn't, using the same proposal we just did, wouldn't it be great? Is that just a single window floating in space in the kitchen? I don't remember, is the kitchen double heighted?
No, this is a small bedroom on the second
So
floor.
that's to be eliminated in favor of a double heighted kitchen with those large windows?
Yes.
What if? I don't know, what if you had more? Just hold on, does anyone care except me? That would be like the threshold, but like, what if you had 3 windows there of that size in the double heighted room? And you had, you know, more windows on the 2 larger windows on the first floor, but there were historically compatible windows in frames that looked historically compatible. We know, you think that, you think that proposed is fine.
I think,
Then I can just put that to the.
I think the windows.
I put that to Paul and to Phil and to Jeremy.
Can you toggle to the proposed on the next slide for us, please? Thank you.
Those are aluminum,
Those are aluminum.
and the ones under this in the sunroom are aluminum.
The ones in
So
the
they're,
sunroom.
they're not precedent setting, is what I'm trying to say.
I actually like the proportion of larger windows on the right.
I
think it's right, I think it's excellent.
I think that.
I think it's elegant, don't get me wrong,
I think
it's
they're
just
dramatic.
removing a lot of, it's elegant and appropriate, but it doesn't satisfy the first, which is preserving the original intent.
Well,
But however, it's,
we can disagree on that, John.
Yes.
The point is not removing. To make changes, that gets into legitimate debate.
Okay, can we see the side elevation too, because you're doing some drastic changes there?
wait, well, let's just stay on this for 1 second. Are we?
Well, I think I have to see them in context. In other
Oh,
words, you might say that this is fine, but you should leave the side intact.
Okay, keep on going then. I think the kitchen is fine, but.
Do you have a rendering of the east side of the house, that, in other words, around the corner from this
What was,
kitchen?
what would be?
Back is the east.
The back is south.
South, sorry, south, yes.
Oh.
It's just the-
No, back and
The
south.
back faces Pierce.
Okay.
And do you have the original plans? I'm curious to know how much of the kitchen windows were original.
Well, the 2 original windows here were modified. The lower sash was modified to be shorter. The door, the current door is not original. Neither is the one off of the rear patio. But it looks like one of these kitchen windows might have been modified when the current millwork or casework was put in along this wall. But we believe at least these openings are original. All the openings along this kitchen facade are original, but it's not clear that the windows themselves are all original. So this is not very easy to see. But
John, where are you going with this?
All I'm saying is you should look at it in context of.
Sure.
It's not, it's one thing to change just that rear kitchen facade. It's another thing to change the rear kitchen facade and this. And all I am saying is, if you, it's not necessarily the case that you have to approve both, right? Could you not retain the east facade as it is, allow this alteration, give it a great dramatic kitchen, accommodate that, and then, and move forward with that? You're still changing a lot about this house.
I understand, and
And then-
I think those.
And here's the great news for the applicant, I have to for a doctor's appointment, so, but all I would say on my way out is like, this is not every case, right? I hear your passion about, emitting light into the home and finding the best suitable reason to do that, but this house to me is more like a Mount Vernon than it is any run-of-the-mill house that comes before us in Hudson. And I think it should be treated as such, and that any alteration at all should perpetuate its historicity rather than go to the first tenet, which is we need more light in the house. That's all, that's all.
That wasn't exact. First of all, I think those cuts look horrible compared to the design, and I'm not sure that anyway, they're kind of random.
I hear you, right? So then you're redesigning this house.
No, what we're doing, John, is not everybody did it perfect back in the day. Sometimes you can do a little bit better. It depends.
Again, to my earlier point, you could change lots of historic buildings and make them more appropriate, better designs. But that isn't to me what preservation is.
Well, I think the definition is preserving, but also, bringing it into the 21st century.
I agree with everything into the butt.
All right. Take care, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
John.
Let's go for Johnson.
Well, I'm sorry, very much in John's report. This is one of the most significant buildings in this city. And I'm even gonna start with the fact that it was a recommended wash. I mean, this building was featured in Georgia Pepper magazine. I mean, this is a Jacobean structure. You don't start lightening it. I do have an issue with adjusting those two upper left windows, but I look at it from this perspective. I think if you make it any larger, you join them together, it just, interferes with the flow and visual of it. I don't have so much of a problem with that rear kitchen, perhaps, but definitely, I'll be against doing anything to that, to the side, but it's west, I'm not sure. I wouldn't change it.
We have a comment from Carol Osterink. Can everyone please speak up? Sorry, Carol, we just have technical issues today, but we will try to, everyone speak up.
Where are we? Trying to hear Carol.
Carol, did you want to say anything, or you would just like us to speak up?
No, I have no comments. It's just very difficult to hear Paul and everyone else who is speaking.
Okay, thank you.
Understood. It would be great if we could solve the owl problem going forward.
So it sounds like we have consensus, at least of the larger windows on the back of the house, that we may not be comfortable around the side, that maybe there's just one solution, you don't need both. That you're getting the light through one of these interventions, but you don't have to do too much. So maybe that we feel comfortable with. We can talk about around the corner and the top bay window, or the solution up there.
I didn't hear a consensus. I heard maybe majority, half majority, but I think either way, the applicant is gonna have to come back with something new to present.
Yeah. So in broad strokes, there is not a consensus. There certainly is a point of view within the commission to ask you to consider solutions that are visually and otherwise closer to the existing solution. And some folks feel that the only solution is the existing solution. And some folks feel that these modifications in some cases actually add to the project while providing utility that the homeowner needs or would like to have. But net, I'm with Victoria on that. I think there's stuff to think about. If you want, you have a right to ask us to go ahead and vote, or you can agree to our council that you take this in and come back with some other thoughts.
If I present some additional options, I don't need to, I can present options, right, in multiple views. Or do I need to just?
I really think it's about those three things. I think it's about the window above on the left that we're seeing, the double windows in the kitchen and around the corner. Those are the things that are the biggest debate. I think the fence and all those other things.
Well, and I think the wash is very serious too.
Okay.
I'm gonna comment on the wash, having used lime wash. I've got a brick house or stone house, whatever. Some periods when it was fashionable. People put coatings on, some they didn't. I've used the lime. You could basically wash it off with a hose and a brush. If I understand the material, so it is a totally fungible solution. It becomes a matter of taste and era. A lot of houses in Hudson have washes that don't. And a lot of houses have paint on them that didn't, and so on.
But it's not a federal or colonial structure, so.
I know, and
To go with the character that we talked about.
I understand. Other folks, or should we put our burden down for now and ask that you come back in 2 weeks?
Do we want to just address on the east side, the other two windows that aren't part of the kitchen, as one of them is in like.
If we have, please go ahead.
Yeah, so just if you can go to the page 13 of your document, I just want to make sure you get all the feedback here. So there's the 6 light, and then on the right, it was a door that you're switching out to one that's similar to what's existing. And if there's any other feedback, more specifically, probably about the 6 light. The window or door to window replacement.
Which is the thing on the right, that
Yeah.
Oh, this is the south side.
Oh, I'm sorry.
South.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I think this is the south, it faces down,
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
this was the east side.
oh,
This
Either
is
way,
east.
this is the side I was referring to. Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead and sum up what you're saying.
So we are questioning about the double height windows on that side right at the kitchen, but the kitchen doesn't go into the 6 light, which is adjacent to it. And if there's more thoughts on that, because that was a window that matches what's next to it or above it, right? And so just making sure in this conversation that that's something that we would, I assume, want to be considered as well when you come back. Like that's part of this greater conversation, right?
Kim, what are you proposing? The tall windows that are being proposed, you would do what with
She
them?
wants to discuss the window to the right of the tall windows.
Okay,
Can you show us the existing show, please? It's replacing an existing, yeah,
oh, I see.
Yeah.
so it's a modern.
I just want to bring attention to that. So we haven't talked about it, but it's of the same vein of everything else, and I don't want her to come back and then we pick on that, so.
What is going to be behind that window? Why make it not as long?
It's just a breakfast nook,
I'm sorry.
so we widen the window. It's a seating area, a dining area.
yes, we heard it was a breakfast nook.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
your answer?
Yes.
Okay. No, I think we've given a lot of feedback.
On that.
I would say to the applicant, this is a lot of thinking to take in. You should feel free to get in touch with the commission architect, Kim. I'm just appointing her point person to be contact for you for discussion, so that we continue to be as clear as possible going forward, and not waste your time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I just had one question. For the kitchen windows, would a smaller, I guess, proportion be more acceptable? Or I can just ask him this question separately.
Are you talking about the tall windows, or?
Yes.
I don't think it's this.
Yeah, if they were to become squatter.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
I think the way we're thinking about it is that we want to be judicious as possible. So if light is the challenge you're trying to solve, then can we just do 2 large windows and do less intervention on the other sides? Can we get to a solution that meets what you're trying to achieve with the least amount of alteration to the building?
Well said.
So I mean, if you think about it, if we seem to have the least amount of debate, not that there isn't, around those back 2 windows, the large 2, but maybe you leave this facade that we're seeing here alone and just address the door issue. And so we're keeping, there's compromises in what we're doing.
No, you said it well. What is an acceptable, attractive solution to you and to the owners that involves the least intervention in the existing structure?
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Jen, any more cases?
I believe that is,
That's it.
I believe that's it.
Two things I wanted to cover that are not on the agenda, is just information for the commission. One is I was really happy to see that Shiloh Baptist, the old Shiloh Baptist, is coming back and should be here in 2 weeks. They're going to do some more work. We spent a lot of time on that project. It's an important building to a lot of folks, so wanted you to know. And 2, Virginia Martin from DAR got in touch with me, and I promised her I would note that there's a presentation coming up regarding work plan for DAR. That's 113 Warren Street. And I managed to not write down the date. I'll get that out to people. You can go to the DAR website. This is not an endorsement or approval, but these folks are very serious about their work on that place. Marilyn Kaplan, the architect, will be presenting plans and a tour, so it's a cool thing to announce. All right, that's it. Motion to adjourn.
Motion
Jerry
accepted
and Paul, all in favor, aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Dan.